मुट्ठी में कुछ सपने लेकर भर कर जेबों में आशाएं, दिल में है अरमान यही कुछ कर जाएं, कुछ कर जाएं। सूरज सा तेज नहीं मुझ में, दीपक सा जलता देखोगे। सूरज सा तेज नहीं मुझ में, दीपक सा जलता देखोगे। अपनी हद रोशन करने से तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? मैं उस माटी का वृक्ष नहीं जिसको नदियों ने सींचा है। मैं उस माटी का वृक्ष नहीं जिसको नदियों ने सींचा है। बंजर माटी में पल कर मैंने मृत्यु से जीवन खींचा है। मैं पत्थर पर लिखी इबारत हूं, मैं पत्थर पर लिखी इबारत हूं। शीशे से कब तक तोड़ोगे? मिटने वाला मैं नाम नहीं, तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? इस जग में जितने जुल्म नहीं उतने सहने की ताकत है। इस जग में जितने जुल्म नहीं उतने सहने की ताकत है। तानों के भी शोर में रहकर सच कहने की आदत है। मैं सागर से भी गहरा हूं, मैं सागर से भी गहरा हूं। तुम कितने कंकड़ फेंकोगे? चुन चुन कर आगे बढ़ूंगा मैं। तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? झुक झुक कर सीधा खड़ा हुआ, अब फिर झुकने का शौक नहीं। झुक झुक कर सीधा खड़ा हुआ, अब फिर झुकने का शौक नहीं। अपने ही हाथों रचा स्वयं, तुमसे मिटने का खौफ नहीं। तुम हालातों की भट्टी में जब जब भी मुझको झोंकोगे, तब तब कर सोना बनूंगा मैं। तुम मुझको कब तक रोको? तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे?
खुशियों के रंग, हर आंसू बनेगा एक नई तरंग। हाँ बेखौफ आजाद है बहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है बहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे। दीवारें ऊंची है गलियां है तंग, लंबी है पर हिम्मत है संग, पाँवों पे छाले हैं सांसें बुलंद, लड़ने चली हूँ आजादी की जंग। बेखौफ आजाद है जीना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है जीना मुझे, बेखौफ आजाद है रहना मुझे।
What a wonderful performance by these young women on stage. I request you to stay back. ఉండండి, స్టేజ్ మీదే ఉండండి. ఐ నోకి మెమెంటోని బహుకరించవలసిందిగా ఇంత చక్కగా అందంగా పర్ఫామ్ చేసిన ఈ అమ్మాయిలందరికీ ఒకసారి గట్టిగా చప్పట్లు కొట్టండి. మీరు మ్యూచువల్ ఫండ్స్లోనూ బంగారంలోనూ భూమిలోనూ ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేస్తారనుకుంటున్నారు. అది బెస్ట్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ కాదండి. ఇలాంటి యంగ్ గర్ల్స్, యంగ్ ఉమెన్ బయటకు వచ్చి పర్ఫామ్ చేసినప్పుడు మీరు కొట్టే చప్పట్లు ఉంటాయి.
I don't think the guests who are here on this panel need any introduction. However, I am going to try and make an introduction for them. To begin with, I think I'll call upon Ms. Charu Walikhanna. Ms. Charu comes with a lot of experience in the area that we are going to talk about now. Ms. Charu is a women's rights lawyer, UN recognized NGO leader, and former member of the National Commission of Women. Thank you so much, Ms. Charu, for being here with us today. Next, I would like to welcome Dr. Lavanya NJP. I don't think Dr. Lavanya needs any introduction. However, I will again make the effort to make a small introduction. Dr. Lavanya is a DCP, Women's Safety Wing, and a doctor turned police officer, shaping frontline responses to gender-based crimes. Thank you so much, Dr. Lavanya, for being here, and it's inspiring to see a doctor turning into a police officer. I was just telling Dr. Lavanya that, there was a time where I wanted to wear a similar, with the uniform. So it's good to know that people from other fields have come into the force. Next is Mr. Chaitanya Gorapati. Chaitanya, where are you? In fact, Chaitanya and I go back a very long way, both as friends and attorney-client. Chaitanya is the MD, DE Shaw India, and the visionary mind behind ventures like, I may not be pronouncing it correctly, Shuchi Chocolates, and the Bougainvillea Restaurant. Very refreshing names, Chaitanya. Just give me a moment. Next is Ms. Geeta Goti. And I don't think, again, there is any need to introduce, but then for the sake of, protocol, Ms. Geeta Goti is the HR and governance expert and the driving force behind Project Stree, working for women and trans inclusion at HCSC. With this, a great round of applause is what all our panelists here need today. And without any delay, I will just start with our discussion. Unfortunately, one of the members could not be here, but we will try and give you all the perspectives that we intended to give you to begin with. Before I start this discussion, I think it will not be right if I did not congratulate the young girls who just presented a wonderful dance. I think they deserve a very loud round of applause. What I don't know if everyone noticed it, but there was a smile of pride and there was a expression of defiance. I think that is what we need today. And if our young girls can get inspired by that, we as mothers and fathers inspire them, I think the journey is going to be much easier and we'll get there in no time. With that, I will start our discussion. Dr. Lavanya, you are taking us through this path-breaking journey of bringing a lot of security at the workplaces. And, you know exactly what is happening on the ground. I don't think there is anyone better who would know the threats and the security issues that women face on a day-to-day basis, whether in corporate or in real life. However, considering that we are talking about the POSH Act, and the POSH Act is, and I will just for everyone's understanding mention here, how many of you know about the POSH Act? Which is very disheartening, I would say, because all hands should be up. So next, I think after this conversation, each one of you should go back and understand what the POSH Act is. We have the lovely internet at our fingertips. Don't become Google doctors or Google lawyers, but at least get informed. So the POSH Act is the Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal of Sexual Harassment at the Workplace 2013, which has been brought in a legislative, it's a statutory legislative act that has been brought in place to prevent sexual harassment at the workplace for women. This was in 2013. This act is an act which has to be implemented by all organizations with a specific number of employees, and where that specific number of employees is not met, or the unorganized sector, has to go to the LCC, which is the local committee. So I just wanted to set the context. Now with that, my question to Dr. Lavanya. Dr. Lavanya, as you are aware and you would know best, POSH Act is an act which is in the intersection of civil law and criminal law. And many times, as you saw, very few hands actually went up in the audience. People are not really informed as to what this act is and how they should react when something happens, especially in the corporates. Corporates are also struggling. Only a few, I would say, and I will very confidently say, because I'm on the committee of a lot of corporates, not many or not all corporates have implemented it. Under such circumstances, do you see a resistance when a case comes up, which is in the intersection of civil and criminal? Do you see a resistance in the corporates? They don't reach out to the police. Do you believe that they are not doing enough in getting the police participation?
Good afternoon, all of you. Thank you for this opportunity. Technically speaking, POSH Act, as we have seen the number of hands that have risen, is not so famous, nor is everybody aware of this act. Given that situation, people coming to police, especially under the POSH Act, is very minimum. Moreover, corporates, very recently I have seen an Instagram reel where a corporate employee was appointed and he enters newly into the corporate system, and the first thing, as a comedy act, they give him is the information leaflet about the POSH Act. This is the kind of approach we are looking at these days in the corporates. However, the sun is bright, and many bigger corporates are standing as examples. They are forming the committees. However, there is a lot of stigma among the women, among the workforce, to approach even the ICC. These kinds of myths that their identity will be revealed and there will be a lot of retaliation against them, these might also be keeping them away from complaining. Other than that, there's a lot of awareness that needs to be brought about in this sector, and corporates, not only big corporates being an example, the small corporates should also, since it's mandatory to form an ICC and ensure its functioning, small corporates also need to take it up now. This is the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was in fact, that is the real problem that actually is facing the entire corporate world. The large corporates are following the act in intent, in the spirit of the law. But the smaller corporates are more in the nature of compliance. It's a tick box. They don't really care how the implementation is happening, as long as they have done what they are supposed to do. So my next question is to Ms. Charu. Do you feel, Ms. Charu, with your immense experience and expertise that you have in the area, do you feel that there is something in the act that needs to be, I won't say improved, the act is already very comprehensive, but more needs to be done or continuously evolved after seeing how the problems are coming? Do you think any changes are merited to make it more than just compliance?
Yes, I think definitely to make more than a symbolic compliance, a lot of clarity and changes are required. Just now you asked people to raise their hands, everyone didn't. Maybe some people were just lazy, or they didn't know what is sexual harassment, even what ma'am says. You see, there is a knowledge gap. even persons in the corporate, they themselves don't know sexual harassment. Sometimes the women are confusing mental harassment or bullying, or the boss telling them to, having misogynist behavior. They're calling that as sexual harassment. I just want the participants to know that in the POSH Act, the word used is aggrieved woman and respondent. यानी कि victim महिला का होना ज़रूरी है, but not the respondent. And we do get complaints of women against women, but somehow they are not sexual in nature, so they get disposed of. And since you raised this issue about the criminal and civil overlap, in the BNS, Section 75, what does it say? Man shall be deemed to be committing sexual harassment. There, only the man's name is there. A man, if he does the following acts, make sexual advances, overtures of explicit nature, demand sexual favors, or sexually colored remarks. It does not use the word woman except in 70.3, where it says, shows pornography against the will of women. And to clarify, the POSH Act is a disciplinary proceeding. It's an easier proceeding where the woman is believed and the strict proof is not required. Unlike in a criminal, and in Section 70, sexual harassment is non-bailable and it's a cognizable offense. But what is the penalty? 1 year or fine or both. तो सारे मैटर्स लोक अदालत में जाती होंगे या वैसे रफा दफा हो जाती होंगी. And you raised the issue about IC and LC. In 2016, it was first called ICC, Internal Complaints Committee in Section 4, and in Section 6, Local Complaints Committee. Now in 2016, the Act was amended and they've made it IC and LC. Now in a district, there are so many local committees. How does a woman know which complaint committee does she need to go to? So I think this really needs to be looked into and maybe a recommendation. Also, I'll just wind up quickly. The timeline is just 3 months, which is short. So there was a bill in the Rajya Sabha in February 24 where they have suggested increase by 1 year. Another very dangerous increase they've suggested is the removing of Section 10 regarding conciliation. And most women, whoever I've met, they say कि हम आदमी को कि पेट पे लात नहीं मारना चाहते. We just want वो sorry बोले और अपना हमें तंग नहीं करे. So this process of mediation should be there. Alternate dispute resolution is being encouraged by the government. So I think it's a step backwards by making this suggestion.
So that's very interesting that you brought out these points. Actually, you, if I can legally say, stopped me from asking more questions in that direction. But thank you so much, Charuji, for telling the public that criminal and civil are two separate streams. The standard of proof in criminal is beyond reasonable doubt. The standard of proof in civil is preponderance of probabilities, or what we call circumstantial evidence. And therefore, POSH Act requires not the standard of proof of a criminal matter, but even circumstantial evidence can be taken into consideration. And the IC actually takes the circumstantial evidence into consideration and comes to a conclusion. It is a fact-finding mechanism that is done by the IC. So therefore, women should not feel have any fear that they will not be able to prove because they don't have substantial proof. The IC is very well trained. IC knows how to look at circumstantial evidence, etc., and come to the conclusion. Ma'am also touched upon a very interesting point, which was who is a respondent under the POSH Act? Is it only intended to be a man? The intention of the Act is that it has to be, a woman has to be safe at the workplace. And therefore, there are judgments which are now coming up, which are expanding the meaning of respondent, and even a woman has been included to become a respondent. With that, I will go to the next question to Mr. Chaitanya, who is representing the corporates and is the only male on the panel. So please give him a big hand first. He is standing up for us. Yeah? So
Always.
Chaitanya ji, the one question, and while you are standing up for us in a lighter vein, you are representing the men also. So I think there is one question that I always hear when I go for trainings. Why is this act not gender neutral? Do you believe that this act should be gender neutral?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question, and I can understand why I've been chosen for that. While I can understand the premise on which the act would have been formulated a decade ago or in the making for many, many years before that, if you look at the current situation in terms of the reality of how we are progressing as a society, as corporates, where there's so much focus on DEI, where we're really talking about diversity, inclusion, and equity. From that perspective, I think to be able to keep up with the current times, my personal opinion is that it has to be gender neutral, because there's just more than one gender, so to say. Having said that, at least in most of the corporates, as far as the internal implementation of the act goes, most of the policies are gender neutral. So when we look at how the large corporates demonstrate the intent of implementing POSH or intent of having the right policies, we do not see any bias towards any particular gender. Of course, when there are complaints, if any, that are received, there are limitations in terms of what the IC can do in terms of their own judicial powers, etc. But notwithstanding those limitations, I think what is more important is for us to create a process, an apparatus that is sort of neutral, either that could be through a grievance redressal mechanism or any other inquiry, investigation as is appropriate. But I think in terms of overall inclusivity and setting the right tone of what an organization would stand for in terms of its culture and the right intent of implementing it, I personally believe that it should be gender neutral.
I completely echo your thoughts. And I think this is a very good point that you drove home. And for the corporates, for the people who are representing corporates here, I think your message is very good. That the important thing is that the minimum statutory compliance should be in place. But law does not say that you cannot go beyond the minimum statutory compliance. So while your IC can continue to give all the compliance for the POSH Act, nothing stops the organization from having a policy in place which also brings within its ambit all, and why do I say all genders? Because we must not forget the LGBT community as well. This is a very, very evolving space. I think gender is also evolving as time is moving on. So I would say, yes, that's a great point that you have brought out, and I think the corporates will have a nice takeaway from here. Geeta ji, coming to you. There is in the Act, and many times when people are looking for external members in the committee, there is a sort of lack of understanding. Should it be an NGO? Should it be a legal person? The word is changed very, it's interchangeable. NGO, legal person, person with experience in the field, expert in the field, everything is very, very, not very clear. You are a person who knows the law, you are legally qualified, and you have done multiple cases as an NGO as well. What is your understanding? What is the importance of having the legal background, even if you are representing an NGO?
Yeah. It's a nice question, Purnima. Yes. Legal knowledge is very important, even in spite of giving a clear definition in the Act, saying that somebody with legal knowledge, an NGO working on women issues, and also who has worked on such aggrieved situations with the women, those are eligible for the external member to be nominated as external. But in spite of that, I have seen a lot of organizations do not understand it fully. So an NGO for them is someone who is working on, let's say, education field, or some other NGO, environment field, or some other NGO not even related to women or children. So such NGOs have been incorporated. Just because there is a word NGO in the Act, the interpretation is any NGO. So what is it we look for from an external member, a subject matter expert, someone who would understand the case and redress it the way it has to be, understand the act and ensure the process is followed, and also train the internal committee members who are just employees of that organization. Now, if all these things are not met by NGO and just they have been used because they are being, referred to be an NGO, then it is not serving the purpose. I think we need to know in spirit what an NGO should represent in an IC.
Very well said, ma'am. Sorry, you were saying something else?
No, that's not. Another thing, the fee of the NGO, in the Act, it says 250 rupees per sitting. Okay? Now, 250, and I remember talking to a CEO who is in 100 crores companies, asking me, Madam, in the Act, it says 250 rupees per sitting. So I think one has to educate themselves. So no matter how much we give, somebody has to understand that.
Ma'am, I think you give them this answer that I just said, minimum is in the Act, maximum can be anything.
Exactly.
It's the expertise that matters. So, in fact, ma'am, that's a wonderful point you brought out here, the importance of process. And mostly, what ICs don't understand, and sometimes organizations and employers don't understand. The POSH Act is the act which sets out the obligation of the employer to protect a woman at the workplace. IC is only redressal. So it is the employer's duty to ensure that they have a trained, well-equipped IC to understand that if they don't follow the due process of law, then that even if they've done the right thing and come to the right conclusion, that will be appealed against and therefore will not stand the test of law. Therefore, you need a person who understands the due process of law to be able to do what is intended to be done in the Act, and that is why somebody knowing the law is very important. I will come to you, Dr. Lavanya, again. And Dr. Lavanya, I think this is a question which most stakeholders who are from corporates here may have in their mind. I definitely, as an IC member, have had this on mind. Sometimes very unique cases come to us. For example, stalking is one such act, which is in the, which is something which can be very innocuous, but yet can take a very bad form at a later stage. Now, in a situation like this, when it is still starting out, and the complainant has come to the IC, told the corporate, told the employer that this problem is happening. In one case, I saw this man would follow her to the restroom and wait outside. And when she would come out, he would ask, what were you doing there for so long? So now, right now, it's not looking very drastic, but it can become very drastic later. So in such a situation, now the complainant did not want to go to the police. But under the law, it is mandated for the employer to initiate action when there is something which is coming within the purview of Criminal Act. Under such circumstances, how should the corporate move? Should they come to you, inform you, and then it is for you to take it up with the complainant? How should it be taken forward, ma'am?
That's an interesting question, ma'am. First and foremost point about POSH Act is that it does not stop the complainant from approaching police under any circumstances. Whether a criminal case is made or not can be decided at the time of the complaint also to the police. So corporates should not threaten the complainant saying that idi jarigipote meer police ki vellalsi vastadi. You shouldn't create that kind of fear in the mind of the complainant. You should give a free chance to think whether she can use the option of going to the police and complaining about this complaint. And also, it is the duty of the IC to ensure that no retaliation happens to this woman if she approaches the police. So it is the responsibility of the ICC and it is the responsibility of the employer under the Act to ensure that her workplace is safe and also she gets her kind of grievance redressal.
Thank you, ma'am. That actually clarifies a lot of doubt, because many times we have complainants, not only complainants, IC also saying, first let us look into the matter, we will decide, and if there is something we will send to the police. That is absolutely incorrect. You are a civil or other Qazi judicial body that has been created under the Act, sought a hybrid of disciplinary proceedings and the Qazi judicial proceedings, because you have power under the CPC, for, just like a civil court. So you've gone a little above disciplinary proceedings, but still the essence is the same. So now that is your role as the IC. That does not mean that the police does not do its role, and therefore both can move simultaneously. And that, I think, ma'am, you've brought out very well. Thank you so much. Moving to Charuji. Charuji, it's a unique corporate world today. You'll have some thousands of office in one huge IT park. Now, I've seen a case where the security man at the lift would pass lewd comments at a woman who would be working at another company. But now this security officer is not an employee of the company where the IC is. And the IC then does not know how to react once the case is filed before the IC. In such circumstances, yes, the Act says that if the woman wants, you can inform the police. That is there. But how does the IC proceed in itself? That clarity is not there in the Act. What would you suggest?
19H is kind of, again, very weirdly phrased, sorry to use the word, because it makes the employer liable to initiate action, yet it goes on to say, if the aggrieved woman desires. Now, a lot of women, even after making complaints to the IC, don't turn up. They just don't want to go ahead with the inquiry and the process of cross-examination, and they don't want to be harassed. So now, either you say the liability is on the employer, or you remove that liability from the employer and say only if the woman desires. Now, to come to your point regarding the lift. See, this is, for this again, legislative clarity is required. Legislative or judicial clarity is required. I'll give you an example of, there was a case in which a woman was sexually harassed by a male from another company. Now, he was governed by the All India Service rules, and she was governed by the Central Services rules. So when the IC started taking action, he challenged it. And in case you're interested, there's a case of Sohail Malik versus Union of India, just last 2023, in which the Delhi High Court, they said there's absolutely nothing in the POSH Act which limits its scope only to cases where the woman employee is sexually harassed by another employee working in another office, and accepts her application to deal with the employee where the employer is of somewhere else. Now, understandably, but like how Chaitanya said, even ICs have their own limitations. Yes, IC has the power to send summons, witnesses, record documents. Now, how is it going to send the summons to enforce the summons? It has the powers of the civil code only to this limited extent. It does not have the total inherent power, like power of contempt, etc. So if he doesn't turn up, what do you do? How does he enforce his attendance? Assuming the entire process takes place and they award some punishment to him, how will the IC ensure that punishment is enforced by a third employer? Now this needs really, this needs a clarification. That's why we've said that the local complaints or complaint, whichever they want to call it, plays an important part, because at least in the whole district, it will have a jurisdiction to, if you see the Act everywhere, it talks about employee, it defines it employer. In section 11, it says where both are employees, but it does not say both are employees of the same organization. Again, section 13 says that for enforcement, it says that it has to be against land errors to be sent to the revenue officer. So, I mean, should the process become so difficult that the woman just somewhere in the middle disappears? So I think this is a very important issue you've raised, and it really needs looking into in the legislation. So thanks for raising it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think you've done something true to a lawyer's spirit. We split hairs very well. And we can tell you one definition that says, one definition can be interpreted in 10 ways by us. And that is why corporates have to ensure that they get good legal guidance when they are making their policies. And I would always encourage that don't put POSH Act or interpretation of the POSH Act in the back burner. Treat it with as much importance as you do when you are doing your board minutes filings. So that is, it is extremely important. Now moving on to Chaitanya. Chaitanya, I think we are running out of time. We just have about 5-7 minutes. So I would just quickly like to go to the crux of, I think, what the audience here should carry away with them. And that is the importance of saying no. And the importance of respecting a no. And I would like to ask you, are the corporates doing enough to train and retrain their employees, everyone, men and women, to be able to say no, to be able to respect a no, and of course to understand about the law and the policies?
I think that's a great question, Purnima. While I wouldn't generalize it as a representative of the entire corporate world, at least all the law-abiding, so to say, the corporates that want to do the right thing, they really implement this law in its true spirit, and not just because, you have to do it. And there are multiple ways in which it sort of manifests. When I look at the entire life cycle of how various interventions are implemented, right when an employee joins, there's a ton of orientation and new hire trainings happen. So they're really introduced to what the act means and what the standing orders of a company are and what the right expected disciplinary methods are and what the culture is at that stage itself. And the second big opportunity that we also use is when someone becomes a manager. They're very young, they're probably 3-4 years into their career, and they have this big responsibility of managing people, and a very diverse set of people. So that's again a very important intervention or a period where the managers need to be trained using case studies, using precedents of how do you handle a real life situation and what are the different options and the resources that are available to them that they can tap into. The next set of cohort that we really focus on is the senior leadership, because that's the setting the right tone of the top, in terms of what the organization stands for, or what even the employees are expected to do. And not just like a steroid of doing these trainings at the time of their joining, but these are annual refreshers. Everyone has to go through these trainings. They have forms that they need to fill, that they are complying with it, so and so forth. But I think a more important training, which is actually a very extended training that I would say that we focus on, is the IC training. And that is where a lot of help from external legal counsels like you and everyone else who's an expert in the field comes in very, very handy, because they're not the expert. That's not their day job. Their day job is whatever their work defines. But they have this additional responsibility, which is a very crucial judicial mandate that they have of being part of the IC. So there's very in-depth training that we do for them to be able to discharge their responsibilities. And we also have external members who are experts in the field, like Purnima herself, who bring in that perspective, because while we have cases far and few between, someone like Purnima and others would have seen cases dime a dozen. I think bringing in that external perspective also helps a lot.
Thank you so much. So it's not just that I accept when you enter and you see that list, where the new employee just sees those terms and conditions on the screen and say, I accept. It doesn't end there. It has to be
Absolutely.
training and retraining. Geeta ji, one question for you and one last question for ma'am, and then I think we'll open to the audience. Geeta ji, so since from an NGO perspective we were talking, and yes, of course, this protection at the workplace, see, it's a beneficial legislation. Beneficial legislations are legislations meant for a certain target who needs that support, and therefore women, this legislation has been made for women because they need that support. However, many times, many IC members, external members who come, they come with a sort of bias in their mind. And there is a sort of activism involved in it. However, this act is at the cusp of rights and corporate culture and world. And of course, the overall mandate of law, including due process. So ma'am, how important is it for the external member to have no bias?
Yeah, so ma'am, again, external members are the trained people, not just like somebody holds a social worker badge and walks in. So we have professional social workers, we have advocates and lawyers who are actually to be the external members. So training is very important, especially even for the IC members who will be on that. So generally when we do training, and HCSC has done a lot of trainings on POSH, we covered some 500 corporate employees. We said it is a law which every citizen should know, and especially IC members. So when we train, we first start with the gender sensitivity training and then move on to the act. Because in our country, there are a lot of behaviors which are so normalized, which actually come in the ambit of this act. And it's important for us to first do the cleansing part and then do the training part. And we just do that here, and it's very important to be a professional, to be on the IC as an external member.
Very well said, ma'am. It's important to be a professional on the IC and think professionally. One last question to ma'am, and I think it will not be fair if I leave this discussion without talking about the unorganized sector. While there is the employer's responsibility in the organized sector, the unorganized sector still continues to be, you know, who's taking ownership of that still stands a little unclear, ma'am. So how do you think the training would fit into the unorganized sector and their ability to be told that you have the right and to say no, and men have an obligation to respect a no? Ma'am, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. As you said, the local committee that needs to be formed in the to address the unorganized sector is definitely lacking in awareness, both among the officials who have to do it and also among the general public. However, coordination between local governments like the Panchayat Raj and the self-help groups, and also with the government agencies and organizations like the Revenue Department and the Police Department. This kind of coordination between all these organizations is necessary to ensure that the local committee functions properly and the women under the unorganized sector can address their issues to the local committee. And it is as you said, whose responsibility it is. Yes, it is the responsibility of the district collector to ensure that the local committees are formed and their regular meetings are arranged, and through coordination with the women self-help groups and through coordination with NGOs, I think this can be possible and awareness can be brought about.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think you've covered it very well. And I think before I close, let me say that the responsibility does not end with the government and with the corporates. It ends with all of us individually as well. So we had the term COVID warriors. Let us have the term POSH messengers. Each one of us has domestic help. We have domestic in our homes. So I think let us get educated and educate. With that, I'd open the floor for any questions that may be there. Do we have the time? Okay. We can take the questions after this. I think we are having a small discussion. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
There's the last panel, ma'am. We can take the sessions then.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with
Thank
this,
you, ma'am.
With this, I would like to thank all the panelists. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us on stage today. I request moderator, ma'am, and also all the panelists to stay back on the dais. I now request Secretary General of HCSC, Shri Shekar Reddy garu, to please join us on the dais. Moderator, Ms. Purnima Kamble. And to Dr. Charu Walikhanna, the former member of the National Commission for Women. and to Mr. Chaitanya Gorrepati, MD of DE Shaw, Hyderabad. And to Ms. Geeta Goti, the partner of Sariga Initiatives. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us on stage today. Lavanya, ma'am. మన ఇంట్లో పండక్కి మనం గిఫ్ట్లు ఇచ్చుకోవడం ఏంటి అన్నట్టు ఊరుకున్నానంతే. To in company initiatives and so many more things, a decade worth of information compressed into half an hour was this beautiful session on POSH. Thank you very much.
So thank you. And as we all say, health is wealth. And one of the most important things that we all neglect, I think, is the health in the running across that we do throughout the day. And this is one important panel we thought we should include in this discussion, because most often than not, women neglect their health and give priority to the health of the family. And they go through a gamut of emotions, go through a roller coaster ride in this deal. So I think I have a very, very accomplished panel who will join me here to enlighten us as to what is the relationship between the gut health and the emotional health of a woman and of all of us in general. So first I call upon Dr. SUMMIT2.0, who is an MD in internal medicine, physician with a focus on longevity and personalized medicine. As the co-founder and chief medical officer of PMX Health, Dr. Samita is at the forefront of next generation healthcare. Her practice is centered on helping individuals not only manage and prevent chronic conditions, but also optimize their overall health. Joining me next will be Ms. Sridevi Jasti, who's a nutritionist. She is a renowned holistic nutritionist and founder entrepreneur of Vibrant Living Foods, and has spent decades bridging the gap between culinary passion, scientific knowledge, and traditional wisdom. With graduate degrees in nutrition and extensive international experience from Italy to Canada, her philosophy embraces the wisdom of tradition while studying on par with cutting-edge science. Next on my panel is Dr. Chetan, who is a highly experienced psychiatrist with 24 years in the field of mental health, qualified from Gulbarga and a member of Royal College of Psychiatrists, also holding an MBA with a strong interest in management, with a career spanning at New Zealand, India, UK, and South America. Expertise extends across diverse populations and healthcare systems. Treatment is approached holistically, blending traditional wisdom and modern medicine. Next on my panel is Dr. Vijay Kumar Sibada, who is a senior gastroenterologist from Yashoda Hospitals. And he's into surgical gastroenterology, HPV sciences, minimal access surgery, and robotic sciences with experience of over 15 years. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this panel. As we all know, that gut health is very, very important. So first, I would like each of you to please put in your thoughts about what is the connection that we have between gut, the overall health, and the emotional well-being. So first, I would go with Dr. Vijay.
So thank you very much for having us in this and including this topic, because it makes sense to know about the health of a woman. So gut becomes very important because all of us think that there are a few important organs like the brain, liver, kidney, heart, and all those things. But to all of you, whether you're aware or no, gut is called the second brain of the human body because it has such intricate, complex systems which performs. It can perform independent of the brain and it can perform in relation to the brain. And there are so many important things which of late the research has shown that the things that happen in the gut can directly and indirectly affect the health of an individual, and more so in women compared to men. The gut has a huge relation in the overall well-being in terms of the diseases it can cause, in terms of disease prevention in women. So I think it makes sense to know how gut works in a woman's overall health.
So Dr. Sridevi, your views on this, please.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, such an interesting topic, and so glad that we are here discussing. Gut health is being spoken so much lately, but it has been important, obviously, all along. It wasn't just spoken as much. So I'm very happy that we are speaking loudly and trying to understand, especially for women, when women's gut is not doing well, for anybody's health is not doing well, it's hardly about the digestion. It's a lot about emotions. It's a lot about how you show up in the world. They say, gut feeling. It will never lie. A lot of people are confused as to what kind of foods to eat or what kind of lifestyles to lead to have good gut health. You don't need to have so much knowledge. You can just follow your gut feeling. And for the gut feeling to be understood properly by your consciousness, we have to stay close to nature and understand what your gut is really speaking to you. So food is what I focus on, and we'll be speaking a lot more about what kind of foods and what kind of lifestyles we can lead to have good health, gut health that's unique to you. Not that's something that's good for me is good for you. So
Dr. Samita, can we hear from you?
So, hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy we're talking about the same root cause which dates back to centuries ago. When in doubt, start with the gut. That is what we have been hearing all about. And today, more than any time in the past, today everybody, any specialty today, if you see in medicine, are talking about gut. That is because gut is connected to your brain, it's connected to your immune system. Something is wrong in the gut, it shows up on your skin, it shows up in your sleep patterns, it shows up it's beyond digestion now. It's beyond everything. So your skin speaks, your joints speak, your brain speaks, your mood speaks. So I think it's related to sleep, mood, your action, and the way you feel, your energy speaks. So it all begins in the gut. So I'm grateful that we are all talking about it today. It's such a great panel and looking forward. So yes.
So Dr. Chetan, what would you like to tell about this?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure and an honor. There are two things that we always look forward to. One is good Hyderabadi biryani. And what's the second thing? What do we always look forward to or ask for? Happiness, right? All of you want to be happy. What is the best way for that? Is through the gut. We've all heard that saying. The quickest way to a woman's heart is through the gut. I'm so happy that we're talking about mental health. It is in the forefront now. Stigma is there, but it's being eradicated day by day. And it's so important to understand and appreciate physical symptoms, mental health symptoms. There's a massive overlap. The panel here have spoken about things which is literally my subject, which is what I'm speaking is literally their subject. There's a massive overlap. So you look after your mental health, your physical health, your gut health, everything improves, and vice versa. So thank you for having me here.
Continuing on that, Dr. Chetan, do you really think that the food that we eat has any connection with the emotions that a person undergoes or the mental kind of frame of mind that a person might have? Do we really have any kind of a scientific relevance to this kind of a connection?
In a nutshell, 100%. We are what we eat. And we hear about things like high pranic foods. We hear things about protein in diet, good carbs, bad carbs. But everything is interrelated. So if you really want to have a good living, you eat healthy. People eat food to the extent, they need medicines. But you start eating food as medicine, believe me, you don't need to see a doctor. That is the essence of it. There are days that I've not eaten very well, and I can 100% tell you this. And this is anecdotal plus scientific based, that it has an impact on one's health and well-being. You can't sleep well. I mean, for example, you have too many coffees. I'm just giving you simple evidences. You can't sleep well. What does that happen? How does that impact? It impacts your next day's performance. It affects the way you feel. You feel agitated, anxious. You can't engage with your peers. So lifestyle choices is very important for your mental health, including what you eat. Thank you.
So, Dr. Samita, you were talking about the gut health affecting the skin, and I understand you come from expertise on medicine and anti-aging and life management, right? So, what do you think is very, very important as how you maintain your gut health so that, you know, the anti-aging process is actually reversed? How does that happen?
I think we are moving away from the world of anti-aging towards healthy aging, right? That is what we all want. Whether you are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, we want to feel our best. We want, again, let me tell you, we want to feel our best, but we don't want to feel like what we were feeling 10 years ago. Because I can tell you, people who have made healthy practices, healthy changes, lifestyle habits, sometimes feel best when they're at 50 rather than when they were at 40. So beyond that, let me tell you also, people used to say, oh, are you feeling depressed? Are you having mood swings? It's all in your mind. No, it's not all in the mind. It's all in the gut now. So what changes we make on the gut will impact everywhere else, like skin as well. Like continuing with what Dr. Chetan was saying, imagine you're eating a full, refined, deep-fried, oily food today and see how you make decisions throughout the day and how you sleep tonight. That explains everything, right? Like we are causing the gut to become more leaky, and we reabsorb the toxins that need to be excreted, and we reabsorb toxins. It affects your cortisol, and it doesn't make you sleep in the night, but in fact, you wake up in the night to have more food cravings, to keep on eating more at the night, and that will disturb your sleep in the night, and that will disturb your next day. So it's all the vicious cycle that we fall into. Then what are the simple ways to come out of it? Start everything where it all started. Remove what you have given to the gut. So remove all the inflammatory foods, remove all food sensitivities that were triggering you. It could be anything. It's different for different people. All the intolerant, insensitive foods that you have been giving, remove them away. Lot of things fall into place. After removing them, you want to reset it. Then it's time you repair your gut with good things that the gut needs, that good prebiotic-rich foods, probiotic-rich foods. Again, it's different for different people. If somebody is having a seeded infection in the gut, and you're not clearing off that infection, and you're directly giving probiotics, it's sometimes counterproductive. I see that people come and do all the time. They take fiber, they take laxatives, they take probiotic, and they think their gut is fixed. It doesn't work like that. You have to remove, repair, reset, re-inoculate, and rebalance. It's a staged protocol that you need to follow, depending on how bad your gut is and how much infection you have. So ultimately, it boils down to what you have been giving to the gut. If you remove it, most of the things fall down back into place.
So Sridevi ji, you are a nutritionist. So can I ask you one very important question? Today there is a paradigm shift in the way people are eating. They're going back to millets, and they're going back to the age-old way people used to eat before. But do you think this is sustainable today, or it has become a fashion fad that yes, we're going to eat these superfoods and then we're going to be good? What is your take on that?
Superfoods are not a fashion fad. Superfoods have been, that's what we ate. And in between, we kind of left them and started to eat whatever was easily available, whatever was convenient, whatever was cheaper, or cheaper to make more than growing, right? So that's when we went out of superfood thing. Superfood is a term that is coined to say that your food doesn't have just this, but it has a lot of everything together. So there are a lot of local superfoods, everyday superfoods, and just the term is just overused. But eating millets is not a new thing. Eating whole foods is not a new thing. If that's how we always ate, and as a matter of fact, now probiotics, fermented foods, it looks like a fashion trend, right? Everybody's talking about probiotic foods, but our grandmas were gut health experts without saying so themselves, right? They've done all kinds of fermentation to help the gut, and it's not just in our culture. In every culture, there is a tradition of fermentation for both keeping the gut health together and also extending the life of the food itself. And also to add the umami taste to give you that holistic satisfaction to help you not crave. Okay, so all of that happened without our knowledge. And also, when we are talking about gut health and how it is, like it's affecting everyone. We are all talking about, oh, my gut went for a toss and this and that. I just came back from Uttarakhand last night after a 4-day trip to visit our farmers and some women cooperatives. You know, I spoke to them since we have this talk today. I asked them, they're like, I asked, you know, do you have gut issues? Do you do anything special? It's like, gut issues? I said, okay, stomach, some problem in the stomach, gut bit. Kabhi kabhi hota hai, appudu aitadi. Right? But what do you do? Oh, we drink adrak ka chai or somf ka something. Or, you know, you'll be surprised to hear this. I mean, not a surprise. We fast. Fast. Fasting is an incredible medicine. And also, when gut goes, I mean, when you're not feeling well in the stomach, instead of thinking what medicine to take, sorry, doctors, what medicine to take, how about questioning, what have I eaten? How am I feeling? How am I feeling? Am I anxious? Or am I just, you know, sometimes when something important happens or you just feel a little anxious, right? So use breath work. There's so many tools to handle those, to understand what works for you is the key. And it's not like we need to know exclusively what works for you. Oh, I don't know how to find that magic formula for myself. There are a few things like pranayama, you know, following a circadian rhythm. There are a few tips like that, and if you follow, you'll find, and most importantly, not go for medication immediately. Yes, if it's a persistent problem, you have to visit doctors and get it sorted out, but to have a medicine immediately only compounds. And also understand what is that you have eaten. We are all eating all very, very ultra-processed, not just processed. Processed is not bad. Ultra-processed foods, and that can put your gut goes for a toss. So,
yeah. So, Dr. Vijay, what happens is most of the time, I'm sure, when your patients come to you, they come with different kinds of symptoms, and I think most of them are related to the gut. And sometimes it also happens that there are different problems, but they don't realize that it is related to the gut. So how do you think that we create this awareness that most of the ailments stem from the gut health? And how can we educate people that this is where they should be concentrating on?
Yeah, it's very important because, you know, most commonly everyone says that stay away from a doctor, stay away from a police, and stay away from an advocate. But it is not happening. And I don't know whether it's a paradoxical situation. We are trying to, you know, learn more. We're trying to be more preventive. But at the same time, the number of patients visiting us have increased. The number of diseases have increased. So we have to basically understand it's not going to end here. The way we are eating, the way we are doing, all directly or indirectly affects our overall health. And in gut, when we are talking specifically on this forum, I think the microbiological aspects of the gut intestines, that is called as the microbiota, that is the center for overall health. There is a whole lot of study which has been done that can help in your mood swings, that can help in preventing cancer, it can help in the response to how a cancer is being treated, it can help in the side effects of the medicines. And in females it is more important because these hormonal changes of women are directly related to the gut. So the amount of, I mean, to be a little more specific, the amount of estrogen release or the estrogen balance is directly related to gut, if you are not aware of. It is very, very important. So anyone who has maintained a very healthy gut, you can see that their premenstrual symptoms are less, their postmenopausal symptoms are less, their pregnancy is much smoother, their postmenopausal belly is less. So all these revolves around the gut. And the worst part is we all neglect gut. and we run behind the heart, we run behind the kidneys, we run behind the brain and all sorts of things. So it is very important to understand where it all is stemming from, what food we are eating, how this gut can be improvised, because now it is not just a saying, it is scientific evidence that gut has directly can affect the overall health, and especially more in women than in men, how a gut health. So if at all you have to be very healthy, of course, all these highly entrepreneurs are there who can help us in knowing what we eat. As she rightly said, try to avoid taking medicines, but do not leave it too late. Simple issues can be identified at a much earlier stage. That is where the awareness about the screening, awareness about preventive health, awareness about getting the treatment at the right time done. But having said that, we should understand that the microbial system of the gut starts from infancy, or probably right from the womb. 20 to 25% of the normal healthy microbial flora is given by the mother to the child in the first 2 to 3 years. So it is important what mother eats before her pregnancy, what she eats during pregnancy, and what she does in the first 4 to 6 years when a child is born. So that flora in a child before 6 years directly replicates how his adult flora is going to be. So the immune system, the preventive mechanisms in the body all starts at this age. And if we are not giving a good gut health in this prime age period, we let loose them to eat, अरे ठीक है बाद में देखेंगे, పెద్దోడైనప్పుడు చూద్దాం, ఇప్పుడు వదిలేద్దాం. So I think that notion should change. Once we set the gut health proper in that prime period, then you can let loose in the adulthood, because the body has got enough immune system to tackle those things.
I want to add something here with what Dr. Vijay said. ఇప్పుడు కాకపోతే ఎప్పుడు తింటారు అంటారు పిల్లల్ని, రైట్? చాక్లెట్స్ ఇచ్చేస్తూ, బిస్కెట్స్ ఇచ్చేస్తూ, జంక్ ఇచ్చేస్తూ. అర్థమైంది కదా? అప్పుడే మనం first 3 years of life is when we can develop the taste of the child. If you already corrupt that at that age, not only you hurt their gut microbiome, you also spoil their taste buds, and they will not have a good chance of developing natural taste buds. So ఇప్పుడు కాకపోతే ఎప్పుడు కాదు, ఇప్పుడే అసలే తినకూడదు. So for the parents.
I mean, just to add, how important the gut health has been given is, there are a lot of consortiums in our own thing for hepatitis, for what sort. We have huge consortiums. There's a huge international consortium on gut microbial cancers. So that means the amount of importance the world is giving on the gut is at a different level. If we understand early and implement it early, it will be good for all of us.
I think, that's a very common syndrome that most of us have. When your tummy is not feeling well, you will really not feel well. You will really be out of place, you will not be able to concentrate, you will not be able to focus. So I think that is a signal and warning which we should understand that, something is wrong with our system. And when you go to a doctor, the first thing the doctor asks you, kal kya khaya tha? What did you eat in the morning? So I think, that actually reiterates the point that what you eat is what you are. So continuing, Dr. Samita, what do you think is the connection, like, whatever food we eat? Do you think this has any role in the kind of hormones that it releases and the kind of mood elevators or mood disruptors? Is it any way relevant to this kind of a connection?
Thank you for that question, Chetna. People often ask me this question. So let me tell you, now we have a bunch of gut microbiome tests. I'm sure half of the attendees here have got the gut microbiome tested. But what have we been learning from all these tests? I mean, they're not at a diagnostic level yet, but there are some very interesting correlations that we have been finding in terms of what gut microbiome is speaking to other lab reports, right? So one of the crucial elements, the gut microbiome or bacteria, viruses that inherently are seated in our gut speaks to us. We live in a very symbiotic relationship. You give them what it needs, it gives us what we want. What do we want? We want metabolites that can keep our blood vessels healthy. We want metabolites that can keep our brains healthy, keep us happy in the first place, because we are talking about a lot of serotonin, right? 90% of it, 70% of it is made in the gut. When we have so much neuroendocrine system which is sitting in the gut, imagine how well we should treat and respect our gut. So you give those great bugs which are sitting in the gut what it needs, which are good prebiotics, nothing but simply whole rich foods, or the plates or thalis that we used to eat with different kinds of vegetables, fruits and homemade food. You give them what it needs, it will give back to you the good metabolites. For example, take short chain fatty acids, they are butyrate, acetate, propionate. What does this butyrate do to us? It keeps our blood vessels healthy, happy and less inflamed. So what we have been noticing is people who had less of butyrate, less of serotonin production in the gut had lot of mood related issues, low dopamine issues, and also had vascular inflammation, which is nothing but either early stage of hypertension, which is arterial stiffness, or even hypertension. So like this, we can go on, keep making a lot of connections, and also with the estrogen, progesterone that we have been talking about, right? Lot of women in their perimenopause especially have lower progesterone levels, so that will make them more estrogen dominance. డాక్టర్ గారు నేను 30 సంవత్సరాల వరకు చాలా సన్నగా తిన్నగా లీన్గా ఉన్నానండి, జస్ట్ 40 దాటే అంతే నా నడుము కొలత పెరిగిపోయింది అంటారు కదా. విమెన్ అంతా అందరికీ ఉండే ప్రాబ్లం ఇది. This is because they are becoming estrogen dominant. It's just because they are progesterone deficient. And now, why most of the women are progesterone deficient? Naturally, there is this inclination as we age, we become progesterone deficient first. That makes estrogen take over its job, feel like it is the head of the family and take over all the bad things, keep making cysts in the breast, keep making a lot of fibroids in the uterus. Later, all the women end up taking out their uterus, right? But there are some simple things that we all can do. Support your progesterone. How do we do it? Give the good food that the gut needs. And also eat the good food that your liver needs. People go and talk about detoxification everywhere. They take IVs, they drink detox drinks. But are we really detoxing just because we are drinking them? It's simply we are nourishing the liver with what it needs. Liver needs N-acetyl-rich foods. Liver needs choline-rich foods, B vitamin-rich foods. So basically, we are giving the liver what it needs, and liver does the job for us. So keep, all the women especially, keep your liver healthy, and it will do most of the job for us. Keep your gut healthy, it will do most of the job for us. Don't work in the night. That will give a lot of relief. Please sleep in the night. One good thing all of us can do is sleep on time. Please sleep on time, especially women. It's important we prioritize. And doing all these simple things will keep our hormones in balance. And when need be, then your doctor or other people are definitely there to help you around. And nutritionists like we have the very great Shri Garu here as well. All of us believe that we should nourish the body with the food that it needs. You could call it superfood, you could call it functional food, whatever it is basically a food which can create a therapy in the body is a therapeutic food. Any food which can create a therapy, the therapeutic food is nothing but a superfood or nothing but a functional food. And world moves wherever there is capability, wherever a product can be made. Okay, is this a molecule that is helping you? Let me make a pill. Let me make an injection out of it. But why look for quick fixes? When there are something more sustainable, we just have to adhere. I think adherence is better than obsession. And I think we need to adhere to a lot of good things, simple things like sleep, giving whole rich foods to the gut, give liver healthy foods, target your vitamins, nourish your food enough. If you are not able to get the vitamins that you need from the foods that you eat, then add on supplements, but make sure you're not going into deficiencies. Because I often see people who are vitamin B6 deficient, people who are magnesium deficient, people who have bad gut, land up with low serotonin, low dopamine, and it keeps you unhappy, and the cycle just repeats.
So I think, Dr. Samhita, I would aptly say this, that the more you're progressing towards your business life, your work life, somewhere on the health, we are progressively regressing, I guess. That is why we are getting exposed to so many lifestyle diseases, and I think our guts are really not doing well. Coming to you, Dr. Shetan. is there like, we see sometimes that women are quite vulnerable in some of the times or some particular days. Do you think that, the kind of food they eat also adds to this vulnerability?
Yeah, thank you for that. Again, we've been talking about food, and it's one of the primary sources of prevention. Okay, medicines, like where we all come and play, is cure. So if you really want to take care about your health and, avoid being vulnerable, is to eat well, sleep well, and follow a good lifestyle. This is the simplified formula that has been sent down from generations, which we don't follow. That's why you are keeping all of us busy. So vulnerability is key. Now, when you're vulnerable, you feel anxious. Again, if you look at anxiety, what are the symptoms of anxiety apart from feeling uneasy? Like right now, I feel butterflies in my stomach seeing such a big audience here. So it affects the whole body as a whole. For example, if you're talking about the gut per se, you feel butterflies running, you feel uneasy, you feel, you need to use the toilet, you feel your heart is pounding if you're looking at the cardiovascular system. So every part of your body makes you feel vulnerable. In that state of mind, you can't function. You probably are at a losing point. So again, going back to gut, and I'm only going to focus on prevention here. It is very important. Hearing the whole panel here, I think the same message is out there. Please prevent going down that path. Yes, we are in a difficult time with Google. Everyone thinks they're a doctor and come up with their own advice and suggestions, but nothing is better than prevention. Trust me on that. And our patients are equally challenging, and I want to make this point out here. Many times patients come up to me saying, "Doctor, I'm depressed. Doctor, I'm stressed." And I go through their whole history. One thing that stems out, their lifestyle is skewed, they don't sleep well, they eat junk, and naturally, inevitably, it's going to affect their health. And my mantra to them is, "Em ledandi, meer baga tinnandi, baga pankondi." They're not happy with that. They want medicines. So, and that circulates. They don't want to, they go to the next doctor. Ee doctor maag mandal icharandi, and they come back to me and tell me that. So I really want you all to take this message home. Please, prevention is better than seeing a doctor. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah, so that reminds me, most often than not, it's an I call it, there is so much of information on the internet. You never know the source, whether it's authentic or it's not authentic. But then, we all become doctors for ourselves. And then we also should realize that we are all half-baked cookies. Nobody can eat the cookie nor throw it away, because that cookie has a content. So you know something, but it's always better we go back to specialists. So again, I'll circle back to Dr. Vijay here. So Dr. Vijay, what do you think when patients like this come to you? And they must have done all their due diligence with their net kind of history or knowledge. And then finally, when they think that nothing is working, then they come back to you. Then you also have a few people who say, no, meer mandul raseseyandi, we need medicines here, and otherwise we are not getting well. So how do you deal with this?
See, invariably, when a patient comes to me, obviously, we know that they've tried and tested all the possible means, either from their home, Google, Reels, everything is done. And then we are left with the last option. And if I also start lecturing them about, you did this wrong, you did this right, you should have eaten better, then there's no point in them coming to me. So I have to deal them at that point of time. At the same time, give a subtle message to them that you don't have to come to me again with the same problem for these things. The biggest mistake, what I think all of us do and women do, is that they think that one formula works for everyone. Like my neighbor or my friend has started that diet and that is helping her, so that diet will work for me. It doesn't happen like that. So what I think is, first thing is we should understand as an individual, maybe meet an expert or yourself and think what your gut needs for your body, for your mental state, for your problems, what you've got, for your age, for your build, what food or what your gut needs. So streamline your gut. Don't streamline others' gut and replicate that for your gut. It will never work. Like one medicine doesn't work for all, one gut doesn't work for everyone. Definitely, patients will need medicines. We are there to help them. They are very trivial problems, but as all of us understand, he also said that stress complicates. There is a separate terminology called as stress gastritis. So they don't have anything. They take medicines, add on stress. Medicine itself adds to stress. They think that, sir, since 3 months I'm taking medicine, still it is not coming down. Because that stress is not allowing these medicines to act also. So there are many other things. And one thing is, it's all very easy for us to sit here and tell that eat well, sleep well. But the professions and the type of work all women do are much different. So we have to incorporate that. And I think personalize yourself, meet one of these experts, personalize and see what your gut needs for the profession you are and for the body habitus you've got, and then try to prevent as much as possible. If in spite of that you're not there, then doctors are there to treat you and get back to you on the main track.
So, Shri Devi Garu, what kind of, advice you would give to all the beautiful women in this room here today and the gentlemen also in terms of nutrition? What do you think? Again, I will tell you, like Dr. Vijay was saying, everything doesn't work for everybody. So, what kind of an approach should we have towards the food, towards the nutrients, and how you can actually keep a well-balanced gut and an emotionally well-built life?
Just the right question for me. So, what kind of food is right food? Food that makes you happy. You should love what you're eating. You should enjoy the taste of it. But while enjoying the taste of it, remember that it should be whole food, because your gut needs to feed, because while you're giving body food, you're actually communicating with your gut and you're giving food to gut. So what is that gut needs? It's fiber. It's fiber. So when you said to me earlier, are millets good for you? Yeah, millets are amazing for you, just like brown rice is or some other, depending on where you grow up, right? Millets might not be good for everyone, okay? They might not even be liked by everyone. So don't bother eating. Our universe has given, nature has given so much choice. Don't be just thinking that you have to eat. That in itself is stressful. That, oh, something is healthy, I have to eat, but I don't like it, you know? So don't go there. There's so many choices. Find things that actually you enjoy and prepare them in a wholesome way. You can take the most wonderful ingredient, superfood, and deplete it of all the nutrients if you don't process it well, if you don't cook it well, or if you don't consume it well. So basic learnings, and if you think that it's too complicated, just go back to basics. See how your grandparents ate, and most likely you'll be fine there. And if you're going on a diet, so to speak, remember that it's temporary, and you will lose weight if you go on a restrictive diet where calories are low. Naturally, calorie deficit, you will lose weight. But then what happens after you stop that? Can you go on a diet for all your life? No. So give yourself a little time, give yourself a chance, and find a diet that works for you for the rest of your life. That includes all kinds of local, seasonal foods that you truly enjoy. So come to my classes and learn. Sorry, I'm trying to plug here. I'm not trying to plug any of this, but really, to learn to make food that you enjoy is the biggest tool that you can have, and you can teach your children as well. So, yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you. And Dr. Samita, again, I'll come back to you. How do you think that, the entire circle of balance that we have to create between our work, our health, our sleep patterns, what is it that will help us navigate all of this, and how food will play a very important role in this?
I think we're circling back to the same thing, but it's on top of everything. Prioritize yourself. All women out there, we are all important for our families. I think we should lead by example. Our family looks at us very closely. They just don't want us to keep doing everything for them. They also want us to keep doing everything for ourselves too. So I think it's time we all prioritize ourselves, prioritize our sleep, prioritize our workout, make time, because there's nobody more important to you than yourself. That is very important. If you're not planning and preparing for the day, you're not going to accomplish in a long run. We all get exhausted at some point, we all get burnt out at some point. So finding a balance is by prioritizing yourself, making a plan for yourself. We all know it, but often it's like, okay, tomorrow I have a meeting, I'll skip my workout. Day after I have a family event, I'll eat late in the night. The day after, there is something and I'll skip sleeping early that day. These things keep happening to us, but above all of that, it's us who are going to suffer with lack of sleep, eating late at night, skipping that workout for those 2 to 3 days since we had to attend to early meetings. So I think planning for the day is important, prioritizing ourselves is important, trying to say no is very, very important. I learned it hard way. Please, if you have something, start speaking up and start saying no. If you can't accomplish the task, start saying no. Don't give yourself tight deadlines. If you know you're going to finish that task by 48 hours, give yourself 72 hours. I think these are small things that we all can do for ourselves, yeah.
So I think we are almost coming to the end, and I'll ask one last question to Dr. Chetan. So Dr. Chetan, we discussed much about the gut and the emotional well-being. So what do you think should be the basic idea for a emotionally well-built woman? Because she is vulnerable at most of the times at workplace, she's vulnerable at home, she's vulnerable with her own self because she doesn't know where to stop and she doesn't know where to say no. So what do you suggest that women should, what kind of approach should women take for this kind of situation?
I mean, undoubtedly, women are the pride of this nation. The only way to do this is to prioritize your health, mental and physical health. So unless you are strong, you can't do much for others, your family, your friends, or the wider circle. So prevention, it goes back to prevention. We've spoken about, and most of the panel members have touched upon this, about having good lifestyle, eating well, sleeping well. But how do we do this? How do we create this habit? I think it's very important for all of us to understand. I'm guilty of flopping at times. I'm guilty of not following what I'm preaching today. But it's very important that we all do it. And the best way to create a habit, and this is scientifically proven, is if you continue something at least for 4 days. It's not foolproof, but if you continue that, it will succeed. If you want to eat healthy for 4 days, it will become a pattern. You may fail, but continue doing that. Again, it's going back to prevention. It will reduce your vulnerability and keep you stronger. Thank you.
So thank you for those wonderful insights to all my wonderful panelists here. So the priority is please take care of yourself, learn to say no, have a healthy lifestyle, and see that your gut is healthy. And thank you all so much for being a part of the session, and a special thanks to all my panelists who contributed to lot many insights that we miss on a day-to-day life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear moderator and panelists. Please stay back on stage. And I know Chetna Jain Garu is receiving the memento. Next up, Dr. Samata Tulla Garu, can you please come and receive the memento? Thank you for your wonderful insight. Can I have Ms. Sridevi Jasti to please come forward and receive the memento? Dr. Chetan Majiga here today. Next up, we have Dr. Vijay Kumar, Senior Gastroenterologist. So thank you for coming here and sharing. What a dais is this? What a forum this is. Thank you very much. Which are effective immediately.
Effective immediately, yes. Lot of things are going in all of our minds right now. One thing which I have seen which worked in the recent past and also I have experienced is allyship. It's not just for women, by women, and it has to have even men included. We all talk about diversity, inclusivity and all that, but where are we including men? A lot of times women talk only about women issues. So I think allyship is very much important, and that's where we are connecting. And we are going in that direction, and that's a very good thing to happen now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And on that note, we request all of you to register as volunteers with the HCSC.
You're always welcome.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
because the more the merrier, the more people, ఇందాక నేను చెప్పినట్టు అక్షరాలతో పదాలు కడితే చక్కని వాక్యం ముడిపడుతుంది, వాక్యం వాక్యం చెలిమి కూడితే కావ్యం ప్రవహిస్తుంది. When letters come together, they become words. When words come together, they become sentences. And when sentences come together, they become epics. So, to form an epic in the next chapter of Hyderabad City Security Council, I request all of you to join as volunteers and dedicate some time, not just sign up, but initiate action towards the next step and help out the Hyderabad City Police and also Hyderabad City Security Council.
So just to reiterate, Stree stands for She Triumphs Through Respect, Equality and Empowerment. And that's what we tried to show in our panels today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you to all the eminent ladies, wonderful, talented, beautiful, knowledgeable ladies who are on dais today, including myself. I'm not putting myself down. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. That's the end of the last panel discussion for today. One second. I think we have given mementos to... Okay, now I request who to come and give. Ma'am, please. Yeah, please.
Time to, I think, felicitate the most important person of the day, our MOC, Ms. Niharika. Request our Secretary General, Shri Shekar Reddy Garu, to felicitate Niharika. Thank you, Niharika, for being the wonderful MOC for the whole day and modulating each and every panel very well. Thank you so much.
ఈ ప్రోగ్రాం లేదు కాబట్టి థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. ఖ్యాతి మ్యామ్ is on the dais. డి సాయి మౌనికని వేదికపైకి రావాల్సిందిగా ఆహ్వానిస్తున్నాము. వీళ్ళందరూ కూడా రాత్రి పగళ్ళు కష్టపడి ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని ఇంత దిగ్విజయంగా జరిగేలాగా చేసిన వాలంటీర్స్, వీళ్ళకే గట్టిగా చప్పట్లు కొట్టాలి. ఒక ఆర్గనైజేషన్ ఉంది అంటే దానికి రూట్స్గా కొమ్మలుగా నుంచిన వాళ్ళు ఒకళ్ళైతే దాన్ని బయటకి కనిపించేలాగా దాన్ని షార్ప్గా తీర్చిదిద్దే వాలంటీర్స్ మరికొందరు. ఎం విష్ణువర్ధన్ గారు, కెన్ వీ హ్యావ్ యూ ఆన్ ద డయస్? Rizwan, can we have you here? Mukesh M. Ravi Shankar, can we have you here please? Ravi Shankar, unnara ikkada? Tarvata Soumya, రెడీగా ఉండాలి. సాయి హాసిని, సాయి హాసిని స్టేజ్ మీదకి రావాలి. నెక్స్ట్ ఐ కాల్ అపాన్ ప్రమోదిని. Can we have Prashant Suryavanshi on the stage please? You Vani. Shravani, can we have you on the dais? Prashant Muttamala. Prashant, unnara ikkada? ప్రశాంత్ వేదిక పైకి వచ్చి సర్టిఫికేట్ అందుకోవాలి. తర్వాత ఖుషీ సింగ్, ఖుషీ సింగ్ తర్వాత వైష్ణవి. రుషిక, Rushita, Sirisha Reddy, Ramya CH, CH Kanikshita Reddy, Karthik Reddy, Krupakar, K. Vinutna Priya, Akhilandeshwari, Pranay Y, ప్రో ఆర్క్ నుంచి స్పాన్సర్స్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో వారిని వేదికపైకి రావాల్సిందిగా సవినయంగా మనవి చేస్తున్నాము. Two NGOs that have supported us, Good Universe and also Youngistan, can we have you on the dais please? ముందుగా గుడ్ యూనివర్స్ వారిని వేదికపైకి రావాల్సిందిగా ఆహ్వానిస్తున్నాము. అండ్ యంగిస్తాన్ నుంచి కూడా వేదికపైకి రావాలి. ద టీమ్ ఆఫ్ యంగిస్తాన్. ప్రో ఆర్క్ తరఫు నుంచి మన స్పాన్సర్స్ వచ్చారు. కెన్ వీ హ్యావ్ దే సపోర్టెడ్ us thoroughly for this event. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. గీతా మ్యామ్ మెమెంటోని అందుకుంటున్నారు. ప్రో ఆర్క్ నుంచి స్పాన్సర్స్ వచ్చేసారు, వారిని వచ్చి వీ హబ్ టీమ్, కెన్ వీ హ్యావ్ యూ ఆన్ ద డయస్ ప్లీజ్? వీ హబ్ నుంచి ద టీమ్ ఇస్ హియర్. All the HCSC crew, the Titna ma'am, then Seema ma'am. HCSC team అందరూ వేదికపైకి రావాలి. సార్ నేను కూడా రావచ్చా? Thanks to everybody who was there. Thanks to the